This is the regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Let the record reflect Commissioners Johnson, Soboroff, Figueroa Villa, and Saltzman are present, and we have a quorum.
Thank you.
Number one.
Before we get started, I just want to let everyone know that we have to take a recess at 10:05 this morning for an hour. So we will be recessed from 10:05 to 11:05. We'll see how much of the agenda we can get through between now and 10:05.
Thank you. We're now on item number 1, consent agenda items. We do have a comment card for 1B and 1H.
1B and 1H. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve items A, C, D, E, F, G, I, and J?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, sir.
Okay, so let's call the comment on item
B.
1B.
1B, Prentice Jenkins.
Morning, Board. Morning, Chief. Prentice Jenkins, published the City Life newsletter, activist since 1991. A horse named Houdini, huh? That is hilarious. A horse named Houdini. Now, this horse, does this $4,800 cover just the purchase, or does it cover the maintenance for the horse, where you keep the horse, where you're going to board the horse? Does this $4,800 cover all that? Now, Government Code 54954 says you can answer me. Is anyone on the board can answer that?
Well, you don't know how long the horse is going to live, so how could you think that the $4,800 will cover its whole life?
I'm just asking the questions.
It covers the purchase of the horse.
Just thank you. There you go. Okay. And the name Houdini, are you sure you want to purchase a horse named Houdini? Because you may put him in the barn and he might not be there the next day. Thank you, ladies. I'll be here all week. Thank you.
We're glad for that.
I
think the qualifications of the horse, which is a very difficult thing to qualify, is more important than what the name is. Keep going.
Okay, Houdini. All right. Has this horse Houdini ever said the words, "The freaks come out at night"? The horse has never said that word or uttered those words. The freaks come out at night. Okay. And does this horse do magic tricks? No? Doesn't do magic tricks. Okay. Believe it or not, I really like the name Houdini. That is a very clever name for a horse. And the $4,800 that you're going to spend for this horse is better than spending thousands of dollars for a car that's going to use
Do I have a motion
carbon
on this item?
footprints.
Move approval of the item. Second.
All in favor?
Okay, the comment card for 1H, Michael Novick.
Good morning. I wanted to speak against your accepting a donation of a Hewlett-Packard scanner. I'm not sure if the scanners in G are also from Hewlett-Packard, but Hewlett-Packard is involved with developing and maintaining the ID system used in Israel and Palestine to differentiate between Palestinian Arabs and Jews, and I think it's a company that is involved with numerous other military defense contracts. It's one of the 25 largest defense military contractors in the world. They have contracts here in California with the California Department of Corrections to digitize all the records of prisoners and parolees and all the people visiting the prisoners. They're involved in what they call risk assessment of the prisoners, which can result in people being placed in solitary confinement and isolation, which has been defined as torture by the United Nations. They have contracts with ICE here in the United States to speed up deportations, and I think that it's inappropriate for a public agency such as this to use Hewlett-Packard materials. There is an international boycott being called for by the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement because of their involvement with the apartheid system in Israel. And if the scanners listed in item G were Hewlett-Packard, I think you should also return that to the Police Foundation, urge them to cancel their purchase of any Hewlett-Packard materials for the L.A. Police Department or the Police Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion on this item?
Move approval of the item.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're now on item number 2, commission comments.
Do we have any commissioner comments this morning?
Just happy birthday to you, Matt Johnson. Thank you for all you've done for this commission.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment this morning?
Yes, sir. We have 3 comment cards. We have Prentice Jenkins, Jamie Garcia, and Hamid Khan.
Prentice Jenkins, City of Life newsletter publisher, activist since 1991. I'd like to read the Brown Act, 54950. In enacting this chapter, the legislature finds and declares that the public commissions, boards, and councils and the other public agencies in this state exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. We are the people. It is the intent of the law that their actions be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for them, the people to know, and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments that they have created. And this commission is the instrument that we have created. Government Code 54953, all meetings of the legislative body of a local agency shall be open and public, and all persons shall be permitted to attend any meeting of the legislative body of a local agency, except otherwise provided in this chapter. Government Code 54953-3, a member of the public shall not be required as a condition to attendance at a meeting of the legislative body of a local agency to register his or her name, to provide other information, to complete a questionnaire, or otherwise to fulfill any condition precedent to his or her attendance. Government Code 54954-3, no action or discussion shall be undertaken on any item not appearing on the legislative agenda, except that members of the legislative body or staff may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed by persons exercising their public rights.
Jamie Garcia with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. So it's been a few weeks since I attended the police commission, but it seems in that process 2 people were killed in officer-involved shootings. Video was released regarding Norma Guzman's murder. Waukesha Wilson was also murdered in custody. So there's a lot that's happened, and it's a shame that so much has happened in such a small period of time. But today I wanted to focus on body cameras, the resurfacing of body cameras, and officially being installed in City Council. So there's several things on this issue as well. We know the conflict of interest with Taser International and the donation of $82,000 worth of tasers to the LA Police Foundation, which, as we even saw in the consent agenda items, LA Police Foundation donates thousands of dollars almost on a weekly basis to LAPD. We know now about Mitch Englander's complicity in this conflict of interest as well by receiving campaign donations from Taser International. But I want to focus on VView's model on body cameras, made by cops for cops. Body cameras are not for public safety, to protect us from the violence of policing. Body cameras were made to reduce the liability costs of the city that is the result of the violence of policing. Hence, body cameras are meant to support the perspective of police officers. And let's take an example. So as body cameras were rolled out in Central Division in January 2014, 0 bias policing reports were sustained. So we still are a community of liars, even with this footage. And Matt Johnson, you said body camera footage. Matt Johnson, body camera footage has not been used and will not be used to protect us or support our claims of bias policing, as you claimed they would. About 2 weeks ago, you said this would give us proof about this, about bias policing complaints. But in 2014, when these were rolled out, still we were at 0 bias policing reports sustained. So we really need to look at that as who are these body cameras serving? They are serving the city. They are serving liability costs. They have nothing to do with protecting us. They'll be a tool of social control, not to resolve conflict, but to oppress people and force them into submission.
Hamid Khan.
Thank you for your comments.
And we do have one more card, Melina Abdullah.
Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. I just want to pick up where Jamie Garcia left, but want to reiterate the issue of body cameras as it's being stalled in the City Hall. I think we almost want to say we told you so, because these are exactly the issues that we brought when Soboroff was out there cheerleading and saying, and I quote, "After hearing all the benefits this tech could offer, I wanted to proactively jumpstart this campaign." And let's see, so what has it proactively offered? I mean, what has it really done? I mean, what you have is a whole thing that is rife with conflict of interest. We have been talking about the Rialto study that even Soboroff has been pushing since then. We know that the Rialto study was a master thesis for the chief of Rialto Police Department in conjunction with Taser International in partnership with the University of Cambridge. So we know how these things have been going on. We know that when the Rialto study was done, there were only cases of 7 uses of excessive force in England. And that study has become a seminal guide to deploy body cameras in a department that has 10,000 officers versus a department that has 110 officers. And of course, Tancredius is here. I mean, it'll be interesting to see that how soon before the manipulation of body cameras started happening, because it was under his watch in South Bureau out there when the in-car video cameras antennas were sabotaged and broken as well. So the question really is that as this commission continues to push these bogus remedies, we continue to bring this to the attention of the public, and it's interesting to see that the press is finally picking up on that. Stuff that we put out in a fact sheet in January 2015, outlining the conflict of interest, outlining how Taser International donated to the Police Foundation the tasers worth $82,000, outlining how Taser International donated to LA Police Foundation $2,000, outlining how Palantir Software Company donated $10,000 to get a 3-star status at the dinners that the Police Foundation has. So what we have is this Police Foundation has become this funnel of conflict of interest, of corporate profit making and money that is rolling through. But at the end of the day, as was said earlier, that one of your contractors, Vivu, which you didn't select, and we're not supporting them at all because we oppose body cameras, that these cameras are made for cops, by cops, to protect cops and to protect them from liability. It's not going to change any police violence or police misconduct.
Melina Abdullah.
Seats are goddamn empty, and these people don't let anybody sit here, so we all have to kind of jump all over. So this whole row is empty, and he's stopping people from sitting. This is ridiculous.
So last week we were here with the family of Waukesha Wilson, and I'm standing with the mother of Waukesha Wilson now, Miss Lisa Hines, and we want to present you all with a letter, and I'll read it into the record. Black Lives Matter Los Angeles is very concerned and disappointed in the actions taken following the death of Waukesha Wilson while in custody at the Los Angeles Metro Detention Center. Los Angeles Police Department has not been transparent and appears to be withholding critical information from the family and the community. Black Lives Matter Los Angeles and the family of Waukesha Wilson requests that the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners and the LAPD take appropriate action in the death of Waukesha Wilson by providing the following information. 1. Copies of all video footage and photographs of Waukesha Wilson and her surroundings while in Metro Detention Center, including but not limited to her initial processing, full time in custody, and the removal of her body from the detention center. All logs and any other documentation that lists the persons entering and exiting Waukesha Wilson's cell in the Metro Detention Center. And 3, a full and complete description of the official procedure used by LAPD, Metro Detention Center, and or any other involved city or county departments to notify family or next of kin of the death of a family member in holding. We request that this information be provided by April 26th, 2016, and we look forward to your swift response. I want to remind you of the emotional nature of this. This weekend, Ms. Hines had to have a funeral for her child. She's been brought in as she's had to become an activist to get justice for her daughter and information around her daughter. And so we're asking that you treat this with the humanity that she deserves, with the humanity that the Hines family deserves, and please move quickly so that she can get some semblance of justice. So I'll present copies of the letter now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Waukesha Wilson. Say her name. Waukesha Wilson. Say her name. Waukesha Wilson. Say her name.
Sir, you're disrupting the meeting.
Say her name.
Do not stop disrupting the meeting. You'll be asked to leave.
Waukesha Wilson. Yes.
This is This is your last warning.
Say her name. Waukesha Wilson.
Okay, sir, you need to leave the meeting.
Say her name.
And all those standing need to leave the meeting as well. The three individuals chanting who did not heed the warning and sit down need to leave the meeting as well. I gave a warning. I gave 2 warnings to stop chanting.
Tell him to get off. Tell him to get off us, Chief Mac. Send them back to the walls. Send them back to the walls right now. Send them back to the walls right now. Look. This is exactly what they do in our communities.
Ma'am.
We're tired of it. We're sick of it.
Ma'am, you're disrupting the meeting also.
Ya basta. Ya basta. Tell him to step back. Come on, Chief. Be a chief. Be a leader right now. Tell your cops to back off. Chief, back.
Okay, all right.
Take a recess.
We're going to take a recess and we're going to clear the entire room.
Bring my child so he can see what a bully is.
You don't have to leave.
They're being nice, right? Imagine what they do to us when you're not here. Hope the LA Times covers this.
Now on item number 3, report of the Chief of Police and Commissioners. If the icon, the E icon on your screen, Epithan capture tool, there will be a presentation on this item.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Before I begin my regular comments, I wanted to show the Commission a public service announcement that's gone out in the national media, not only on television but also on radio. It stars our own Amada Tingarides. I wanted to not only recognize her but also recognize the cause which she represents and I think it's probably best that you see it, and then we can talk about it very briefly.
On the steps of my mother's high school, but I was raised by 3 strong women who taught me to be the best I could be. Isn't that what we should be teaching all our children?
A child's brain is more than 80% developed by age 3. So talk, read, sing to them. Strengthen their brains from the moment they're born. Go to first5california.com.
So I think you can see why, yeah, exactly. I think you can see why I'm so proud of that. Not only is it to portray the Los Angeles Police Department in a great light, but it puts out a great message. And I wanted to make sure that I publicly acknowledge Amada, and to a lesser extent, Phil, for what they do, not only for Los Angeles, but for the nation. You know, they are the best of us, and I'm so proud of them. So, thank you. So you'll see that airs very regularly on network TV, and it's a great tribute.
If I can just comment on this,
please.
This messaging is incredibly important. The number of our incarcerated individuals who are high school dropouts is something like 75%. One of the organizations I've been involved with was responsible for funding a lot of the early research that shows that poor and minority communities have a significant word deficit for young children. So they're hearing tens of millions of words less than upper income families and educated families. And what that translates into is a much smaller vocabulary when they're entering kindergarten. And by the time of 3rd grade, up until 3rd grade, kids mostly are learning how to read. But from 3rd grade on, they're using their reading skills to learn about other things. So if you're behind at reading by 3rd grade, your chances of dropping out are very significant. And then your chances of becoming incarcerated increase significantly. So this message about the importance of reading, singing, talking to children is incredibly important. So thank you so much for being a part of that message, and we need to amplify that as much as we can.
Thank you, Amada. Thank you, Phil. I think it also shows that your life is what you make it, not what's given to you. So thank you. Very briefly on crime, we have a 3.5% increase in overall Part 1 crime. Since last year, we've had 18 more homicides than last year, primarily gang-related homicides. We continue our CSOC mission in the 4 most adversely affected divisions. This past weekend, for the first time in a long time, we had no homicides in the city of Los Angeles, including the CSOC area. Unfortunately, right now, the Southeast is working an active homicide and suspect scene in Manchester area, and unfortunately the lull hasn't continued. So we work through that. Personnel status report: we had a graduation Friday and started a new class today or yesterday, obviously. We stand at 9,895 sworn personnel, 2,700 civilians, about 400 reserve officers. We had our reserve recognition banquet this past weekend, very well attended, had almost 400 attendees. We have 372 specialist volunteers, 60 chaplains, 7,410 young men and women in our cadet program. And that concludes my report. And again, my thanks to Phil and Amada for making the time to come down here. My thanks for the way you represent the Los Angeles Police Department, and more importantly, the best of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any comments?
Yes, sir. We have 7 comment cards. We have Prentice Jenkins, Michael Novick, Paula Miner, Akili,
Prentice Jenkins, publisher of City Life newsletter, activist since 1991. I'd like to, instead of just talking about Waukesha Wilson, let's take a look at Waukesha Wilson. That is a picture of Waukesha Wilson. This is the woman who died in LAPD custody. See, that's the face of Waukesha Wilson. That's her mother right there, the face of her mother, Lisa Hines. So we're not just talking about stuff now. These are real people. This woman actually died in custody. No one knows why she died. The cops can't tell you. The coroner can't tell you. She had to bury her daughter. No mother should be able to bury her daughter. The parents are supposed to go first, but her daughter's gone. That is a picture of Waukesha Wilson. See, we just said her name. This is her face right here. I got this out of the black newspaper. I had to go to the black newspaper to get it. They didn't have it in the white media. She's just a black woman who died in custody. You know, like those black women that were raped by those cops. Remember? They don't matter to the white media. They don't matter at all. The black media picked this up. That's the only reason we have a picture of Waukesha Wilson. I never met her, but then I saw her. There she was, being displayed in the thing that I took this newspaper out of, the Sentinel. So we all know what Waukesha Wilson looks like now. So you cannot say you don't know what she looks like. You cannot say, well, we don't know what happened. Somebody's got to find out for her mother what happened. Whether it was an accident, whether it was intentional, but somebody's got to find out for her mother what happened.
Michael Novick.
When you walk into this building, the first thing you see is a ATM machine from the LAPD credit union that says Quick Draw. And I think this manifests the absolute insensitivity of this body, this board, and this agency to the people of this city. There's no joke about being a quick draw police agency, and the display of police abuse that took place here against people trying to speak out. And the idea that you think by driving people out of this meeting, you'll drive the issue out of your site is better think again about that, because all you do is intensify the opposition and the resistance that people are going to manifest to deaths and murders in custody and with impunity. You have an obligation to the people of this city to find some way to enforce. You found several of these killings out of policy in the last year or two. You found at least one of the murderers of Ezell Ford out of policy. You found the murder of Brendan Glenn out of policy. And has the chief said anything about what's being done about that? Has there been any reinstatement or reassignment of officers because of these out of policy murders? Have you done anything publicly to allay the fears that the people of this city justifiably have, that at any moment they could be the victim of similar police abuse? Just the rank hypocrisy of how you're dealing with this. Nobody's even willing to look at me when I make these comments. I think it's, except maybe the chief. So I think you really need to look into your hearts and try to understand what purpose you think you're serving by driving people out of this body who are trying to raise concerns for the humanity of their community and of the people that we're all part of. And if you don't understand your own connection to the people who are dying in custody, the people being killed on the streets, and the hypocrisy of the chief's statement when the LAPD is part of the police-to-prison pipeline, sending those youngsters to prison for the rest of their lives, is beyond belief.
Thank you for your comments.
Paula Miner. Followed by Akili Karen Helfman.
I'm extremely emotional today, not just because of the death in custody of Waukesha Wilson, but because my daughter has just been detained for filming some of the activities that were going on as you try to take us out of this meeting, as you try to silence our voices. I think the commission should understand that the anger, the shouting, the confusion that you see hides pain. Pain of the family, pain of the community, pain of all of us who are experiencing the effects of this policing, as you call it. So I would like to ask you, Matt Johnson, to please look into that. And I also would like to ask you that I understand that you don't like disruption, but I would like to ask you that disruptions, fine, take them out, but not arrest. No one has been violent. No one is armed. People are just using their voices and their minds to try to get their point across. No one is trying to harm this commission or anyone in here. And one of the things I wanted to say in response to the chief's report had to do with 2 weeks ago on April 5th, I came before the commission and I raised the issue regarding the notification of Waukesha Wilson's family. Matt Johnson asked the deputy chief who was here, I forgot his name, to look into it and report back on what is the procedure, who is responsible, because we know that it was 4 days before she found out. The only way she found out, the mother, is by calling. Anyhow, that deputy chief did not report back. He apparently did not tell you, Chief Beck, that a report was needed. Why? Because this system knows. He knows. He's not accountable when these issues have to do with black people, brown people, and poor people. Had it been a high-powered celebrity or another person, the family would have known. We come here every week to talk about how these things affect us. We ask the commission, and the commission wonders, why is Black Lives Matter always here? We're here because we're trying to shine a light on these issues, and these are important. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Regarding your comment on the process of notification, that is still being looked into. It involves both the LAPD and the coroner, and we have not forgotten about it, and we are trying to get to the bottom of it, and not only understand what happened, but understand how we can prevent something similar from happening in the future. So thank you for bringing it to our attention again.
Karen Hilfman, followed by Reverend Tulos and Ted Hayes.
Karen Hilfman, White People for Black Lives. I find it inexcusable and shameful that there haven't been answers yet available to the family about Waukesha Wilson's death in police custody. And I am absolutely sure that if Waukesha had been one of your daughters, you would have had answers more than 2 weeks ago. I find that the continuing racial disparities in how police treatment in the city is manifest, and it seems to be getting worse and worse. And the shouting and the emotions here are emotions, and again, want to second what was said before. Nobody was hurt. These emotions are real and coming from very deep places. I want to demand of the police force that you look into training in implicit racial bias and overcoming that. And I understand that the police department is not doing that yet and is challenged in moving ahead because there's been no method proven to work. If I'm wrong, let me know, let us know. But there are methods that have been used historically in school systems, in religious organizations, in police departments around the country that have an impact on mitigating implicit racial bias. And I urge from the bottom of my heart that this commission and the police department move forward in that area.
Good morning.
Good morning. Reverend K.W. Tulis, National Action Network. Stand here today in support of the letter that was submitted to you this morning by Black Lives Matter. Stand here today because Black lives do matter. And in the case of Waukesha Wilson, I have been highly disturbed by the actions of the Los Angeles Police Department. Here today we see a mother who is grieving for her child. As we celebrate a good person, Matt Johnson's birthday, just remember that this mother here would never ever be able to celebrate another birthday for her daughter who was killed in custody of the LAPD department. What we received through our intel is that this Waukesha Wilson had no history of mental illness of any matter, it's important that we receive also that she was well loved. She had everything to live for in her son. She was looking forward to being home with her mother in just a few days, and her mother and her son. Now we have a mother and a son, a mother without a daughter and a son without a mother. It's a tragedy of what you all have not done, the disrespect that is being given to this mother. And you all should be ashamed of yourselves. We stand here today in support, asking for investigation. We hear that this Rukisha had an encounter with a police officer before her death. So there's so many unknowns of what is taking place. But Rukisha Wilson, her life did matter, and it should matter to you all on the Police Commission and to you, Chief Beck. It's important that we show some respect to this mother. It's important that we show some respect to to the son who is not going to see and hug his mother again. It is a tragedy, again, what this family has been through, and I stand here in support of this family, and something must be done immediately. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ted Hayes.
And just to remind everyone, this matter is being investigated. It's being looked into by the department and the Inspector General separately. Thank you for coming down. We'll look into the circumstances regarding any arrests. Do we have any further comments?
We have no other comment cards on this item, sir.
So I think we'll take our recess now, and we will reconvene in an hour at 11:10. I will check into it.
Was she happy? My goal is to make your life easier by making her happy. You know that.
That's the way to do it.
It was the last 24-hour buildup.
Yes.
We need Rob. Well, we got three.
We got three? Okay.
We can start, sir.
Yeah. Let's call the meeting back to order, please.
Thank you. We're now on item number 4, regular agenda items. 4A, verbal presentation and update from the commanding officer and Community Police Advisory Board representative regarding community-initiated problem-solving, crime strategies, and other programs and goals within the Southwest area.
Thanks for your patience. Sorry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. Good morning. My name is Gerald Woodyard. To my left, I have Leslie Evans. He will be speaking, giving you an update on homelessness and the blight within Southwest Division. And to his far left is going to be my partner, Captain Sean Parker. I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about a series of events that occurred in Southwest Division and the collaboration with my CPAB and clergy council to help solve this issue. So on March 6th, there was a multi-10 shooting in the city of Compton where one of our interventionists, gang interventionists, Anthony Beeman, was killed. Fast forward to Southwest Division, on March 13th, there was a homicide at La Brea and Coliseum where a female was shot and killed. And in responding to that particular scene and talking to the investigators, we had no idea that this particular shooting had anything to do with what happened in Compton. So the following Monday, March 14th, I'm sitting in the office of Lieutenant Vargas, who's in charge of my detectives. And ironically, we had one of the best weeks in crime in terms of crime reduction in Southwest's recent history. So we had 94 crimes. I hadn't seen those numbers in about 12 years. And so as we're high-fiving each other, feeling pretty good about ourselves, I'm going to talk about 6 hours. So the next 6 hours, the first shooting occurred at MLK Park. It was a multi-two shooting, and unfortunately, a male Hispanic, a male black, was shot at that particular incident. Fortunately, it was only 2 people because that park was filled with families. I responded out there. We got a description of the suspect. We got a description of the vehicle. And we started rotating resources to the northern part of the command based on a traditional gang feud. Within 5 minutes, we had our first homicide at Halldale and Adams. Around 8:45 that night, we had another shooting. An individual was sitting in a parked car at a strip mall. He was shot at. Fortunately, no one was hit. Around 10:45, and again, 6 hours. Around 10:45, there was a shooting, exchange of gunfire between rival gangs. And unfortunately, it was at Jefferson and 9th Avenue. Unfortunately, there was a homicide there. We were not able to get our hands around it until about 12 o'clock that night. I was the CDO, the chief duty officer that night, and Lieutenant Vargas worked with me that night. And so we reached out to intervention, and clearly we had a gang feud on our hands. So here's the response from Southwest Division. Obviously, we had Metropolitan Division in the community, and specifically in our command. We used all of our resources within the command with the assistance of my partner, having our Z cars in the noted areas. But that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, the police response was tremendous. We had roll calls in the parks. We had we did everything that we could do. But what I'm excited about, what came out of this, was in partnering with GRID and partnering with CPAB, I reached out to my partners. I said, hey, man, I need some help. What are you going to do to help me? And so my co-chair, Johnny Raines, collaborated with the president of our clergy council, and they went to every single park in my command where those noted gangs would hang out, and they prayed. That was one part of it. And they went to every single shooting that we had in the command, and they prayed. And you wonder what the power of prayer is. I mean, I can't quantify that. I can't say that was one of the reasons that we haven't had any issues with that gang feud. But what I can say is, in addition to them praying and the infusion of community relationship division in our command at those parks, and I want to send my thanks to Captain Ruby Malachi, that consistent presence in those parks really paid a tremendous dividend in my community. I can't tell you how many calls I got from the community saying thank you. Thank you for having these officers in the park. The second piece was, not only did it allow those families to go to those parks, it told the gang members in no unwavering terms that you're not allowed to be here. And so in talking with intervention, they requested us, hey, stay in this community as best you can. We need them to stay in those parks, so that'll allow us to talk to these gang members in those closed door sessions so that they can put those guns down. So I say that only because that's just one of the things that we did in collaboration with CPAB and with our clergy council, because normally CPAB does their own thing, clergy council does their own thing, but that collaboration really paid a tremendous dividend in Southwest Division. So that is my success story that I wanted to talk about. And then I'd like to pass this over to Leslie Evans to give you an update on the homelessness and blight if there are no questions for me. Any questions for me?
No, but thank you for sharing that information with us.
Thank you, sir.
That's a great partnership between the department and the community groups.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm Leslie Evans. I do a homeless and blight committee for CPAB, Southwest CPAB. We're just coming to the end of the third year of publication of a monthly email newsletter, runs 18 or 20 pages a month. We always have photographs of every known homeless camp updated each month in the whole of Southwest. That's the core of the newsletter. We now add articles on city homeless policy. We often have more information there than the LA Times does if people actually look carefully at what's there. We have Our email list now is at 436. It includes dozens of homeless service workers and leaders of Homeless Services Authority, block clubs, neighborhood councils, police officers, so that we have a very broad selection of people we send to. We've established in the last year extremely close relations with Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. We took part in the homeless count last year and this year, and a CPAB representative was on the LAHSA planning committees for both the county count and for the South LA count. And when LAHSA went to prepare a video for training their people for doing the count, virtually all the photographs in it were our photographs taken from our homeless newsletter. So that we had sort of a fairly good impact and very close connection where they know us, we know them, they respect us, and they've said a number of times that they had not very close relations with the police department for a number of years, and that they see this as changing in an advantageous way. Okay, that's mostly what it is. We also have a person, actually it's me, who's going to be on the executive committee of the South Los Angeles Homeless Coalition, the SPA 6 Coalition, which is sponsored by LAHSA, but which includes about 20 different organizations, churches, groups that provide housing or provide other services. And it'll be a very small committee. It's like 5 people who are going to run this coalition, and they've asked me to be on one of the members on it, so that we've been able to become sort of authorities on homeless issues in the north part of SPA 6 and have a fair degree of respect now from LAHSA and other people. We've become strong advocates for the city to fund and provide housing for the homeless. We think really that's the only solution to the thing. You can't just take away their stuff. They're going to be there tomorrow. You make it more hard on them, but you don't solve the homeless problem that way. You only solve it when you can get people into housing and get them off the street, not just push them from one block to another. So part of what we're doing is to try to advocate for that kind of solution, not to have the police department be the bad guy that doesn't solve the problem. It just makes people hurt and people not like you. So that we think there's another way to go. The city has got to really confront this and has to come up with the money. And I think that possibly they will. We at least hope that they will. So that's what we've been doing. We think it's been effective, and we think it's set a certain pattern, and we wish that other CPABs could do, that we could have sort of a citywide effect.
That's terrific. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, thanks for what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
a very difficult situation with what the courts are doing every single day to make it harder, and but it's more important than ever. So thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We do have 5 public comment cards on the side.
Sure.
We have Prentice Jenkins, Michael Novick, Ted Hayes, Zuma Dog, and Melina Abdullah.
Prentice Jenkins, published a City Life newsletter, activist since 1991. In terms of the homeless, Southwest Division, I hope they can do the same thing that Chief did yesterday when he cleaned up Skid Row. I was shocked. I could actually see the buildings. There weren't any tents on the sidewalk from 5th and San Pedro to 6th and San Pedro. So kudos to you, Chief. Cleaned up Skid Row. Well done. Also, when you're dealing with gang members, every war starts with words. And back in the 90s, my nonprofit moved into a small building across the street from the Coliseum, and it was riddled with gang writing. First thing I did, grabbed a bucket of paint, painted it off. I went over to the Korean grocery store, painted it off his. Went up to the wall, painted that off. That night, they painted it back on. That night, I painted it off. That morning, it was back on. That morning, I painted it off. For 6 months, we fought. Myself, my organization, and the gangs. And after 6 months of painting it off, they finally stopped painting it on. Now, I didn't say they didn't paint it on up the block, but for that one stretch of block, they stopped painting it on. We didn't hear one gunfire there. Why? Because we stopped them from communicating with each other. If you let one put his gang tag on there, the others are going to come by, put their gang tags on there. They're going to see the other ones. They're going to start shooting. I actually won the war on graffiti. And when you win the war on graffiti, you win the war on gangs. Stop them from communicating.
Michael Novick,
Thank you.
Ted Hayes, Zuma Dog, and Melina Abdullah.
So Tut Hayes won't be speaking because he's been arrested at 80 plus years old for simply being in the hallway as two other people were being arrested. So we asked for updates from you, Matt Johnson, and the update that we got is all three are being arrested. Jasmine Richards, Nia Amina Minor for simply filming Jasmine Richards getting arrested, and Tut Hayes for being in the hallway as Jasmine Richards, Nia Amina Minor, and Nia Amina Minor were being arrested. So I think that you really need to think long and hard about what it is you're establishing as your legacy. It was really sad that you even had the officers come and try to escort anybody out. They climbed over Miss Hines, who's a grieving mother, in order to escort people out. The chanting of the name, all we were doing was chanting the name Waukesha Wilson as she and I were taking our seats. That had stopped at the time that you had people escorted out and then subsequently arrested. That didn't need to happen. And when we're talking about this item, when we're talking about homelessness, homelessness is connected to this whole idea that black lives don't matter, right? We know that the homeless population, especially in the division that you're talking about, is the vast majority is black people. And think about how they're being lumped together. I heard he left. Is he here? The person who gave the report? He doesn't care about what the community says about the report, I guess, but maybe you can convey this to him. When you lump together people who are homeless with blight, that is disrespect, and it's a dehumanizing of people. So I want y'all to think about what it is you're trying to establish. What are you trying to do? Why are you giving up your Tuesdays? This is a volunteer commission, right? Yes?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so why are you volunteering your time? What is it that you're trying to establish? I hope that you're trying to give something to the city. You're trying to give something to your people. So give something to your people. We're giving something to our people. Why are you seeing us as adversaries, as arrestees, as criminals for simply trying to give something to our people, right? Why are you lumping together people who are poor, and that's why they're homeless, with blight? They're not blight. They're people who don't have homes, right? So as my brother Pete White would say from Los Angeles Community Action Network, we want house keys, not handcuffs, right? This shouldn't even be an issue for the police. This should be an issue for housing, putting resources into communities. And so that's the position we're encouraging you to take.
Thank you.
And we have no other comment cards on this item. We're now on item number 5, public comment. We have 13 comment cards. We have Prentice Jenkins, Max King, Leonard Arnon, Reverend Tulas, and Michael Novick. Prentice.
I'd like to show a video of an incident that happened here.
Accident or an attack. Here's ABC's Gloria Riviera. Two firefighters shot. Two firefighters shot in the line of duty, trying to help someone. Authorities say a man called 911 Friday evening, worried his diabetic brother might be having a medical emergency in his Maryland home. They say the team knocked but got no answer. Then, attempting to enter, gunfire blasting through the front door.
inside the home fired a number of rounds, striking 2 Prince George's County firefighters.
Firefighter and medic John E. Obenschneider dying soon after. I am so sad. It's hard to describe. The sorrow is unbelievable. 19-year-old Kevin Swain, a volunteer firefighter, shot 4 times. Tonight, investigators in Maryland say they're trying to determine whether this was a tragic accident or something more sinister.
Something more sinister. Remember, Chief, I told you a few months ago that they're going to start killing firefighters? There it is. Mr. Jenkins again. 6, Police Commission nothing. I told you they were going to do that. They let the man go who killed this firefighter because when they questioned him, they found out something about these firefighters, that this was not, they were not checking on an emergency. Stalkers, were they, coming up to the man's house? Is that what that could have been? They let the man go who shot these dudes because firefighters do a lot of heroin.
Max King.
Good morning.
I thank you for a great honor to get before a police commissioner of Los Angeles. I've been hurt. I'm working. While work, somebody hit me with car straight, and I lost my arms. I was strong, athletics, and suddenly, in one moment, I become totally sick, totally powerless, and it's for life. I know many people suffer PTSD, such as I happened to me, and I wish to present something since it happened. It's 35 years ago in New York, but I still alive because I decided to take chances, sleep on my back only. It's a soybook, call it. And I advise to make a wide range exploiting that technique for homeless people, for everybody, special clinics, special galleries, which allows people to change their life drastically once and for all, and let other people to live normal life, even being injured, especially from police department, our defense department, and other working places. So I wish to become a source of information and to want to advise people on personal level. I thank you very much, and I wish Los Angeles become a holy city.
Thank you.
Leonard Arnon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner, Chief Beck. There's really no well-balanced way to talk about this, but I know it's been in your ear of late, is wireless weaponized technology. And it's kind of an ambiguous word, term. It's kind of hard to put a finger on. It's hard to clearly define. But basically what that is, it could anything from an X-ray, there's nothing wrong with that, unless I have a portable one, and I could look through your building into your home. And if I see you in there and I turn it up and just leave it on you, you're going to start hurting after a while. Or like a microwave, a spotlight that's intense like a microwave. I don't know very much about what's out there and what you people know. All I know is what the Downey police pointed out to me some 20 years ago and then seemingly forgot all about it. And no matter how much I let them know I'm still alive and I'm hurting because it hurts. This is what happens. You get really old before your age. And you get decrepit. I don't think I'm going to see the age of 65 because it's not letting up. And how do you go about talking about it? They ask for proof. Well, And an analogy is our social media. You know, everybody wants to buy a car or a refrigerator. You check out reviews, and everyone hands down will listen to 30 strangers say something about a product they want to buy. 20 years ago, we didn't have targeted individuals. You know, around the world, there's at least 100 different selections, and they're all saying the same thing. Sure, you're hearing voices, but an audio spotlight will do that to you too. It's like an invisible set of headphones. That's on the market also, but 20 years ago, it wasn't. The point I'm really making is even in my quiet time, you go nuts with this because it's America. I feel like the lowest minority in the world. You know, how many people do you know this is happening to? None. The people that I know either are... Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Reverend Tulas, Michael Novick, Ted Hayes, Marcus Graham, Crystal Warrior, Zuma Dog, Sheila Brim, Paula Miner, Melina, Sheila's here? Sheila Brim.
I'm Sheila Brim, and Waukesha Wilson was my niece. We laid her to rest this past Saturday, and this is the program. This does not look like someone that's going to kill themselves. These are recent pictures. This is her family, and it's more. This is just some. Look at her smile. She's smiling on every picture. Every picture. And I just hope you guys give her some answers to who killed her, because we know for a fact that she did not kill herself. We do know that. I spoke to Detective Stone, and he gave me some information, and from that phone call, I knew then she did not kill herself. I knew before then she did not kill herself. Waukesha Wilson has a 13-year-old son. Waukesha Wilson loved life. Waukesha Wilson is my niece. Waukesha Wilson has a mother, Lisa Hines. Waukesha Wilson is not resting. Although we laid her down, her soul is not resting. My soul is not resting. We still don't have any answer. Where's the videotape? Where's the guard that killed her? We still don't have any answers. Here, I'm back again. I'll be back next week. I'll be back every Tuesday. You guys going to hear Waukesha Wilson. I'm not going to chat her name to give y'all the satisfaction of arresting me, but I'm going to say her name, Waukesha Wilson.
Thank you for coming today. Appreciate it.
Paula Miner.
Yes, I stand with the family, and I also feel free to say her name, Waukesha Wilson, and we will continue to say her name. We will continue to support this family and other families as we try to make some changes in this system. Again, we ask this commission, your role is as a civilian commission. You are supposed to hear the concerns of the public, of other civilians. That's why we come here. It is not fun to come here. It is not fun at all. It's not fun to come to a hostile environment, to the headquarters, surrounded by police officers, to be checked, to go through metal detection. And then when we speak out, to risk arrest, an unnecessary arrest for a protest, arrest for words, arrest for words. Again, I implore you, Matt Johnson, to look into the arrest of my daughter, Nia Mina Minor, Jasmine Richards, and 80-year-old Tut Hayes. I just think with all the issue about crimes, the statistics you give us on crime, this was an unnecessary and wasteful arrest.
Thank you for your comments.
Melina Abdullah, followed by Brianisha Brim, and Jane Person Lynn.
So I didn't write down everything that I want to say, so I pray that God speaks through me and that Waukesha Wilson's spirit speaks through me and use me to make points that need to be made. The first point I want to make is it seems that you all treat this like it's a game. 3 weeks ago, we brought up that police keep taking up the seats for the citizens and leaving these 2 rows empty. The next week, we walk back in, and the entire back 3 rows is full of police, as well as every single end seat. It's as if that was a game, as if that was a response to our request that police first fill up these 2 rows so that we can have the rear rows, right? So why are you playing games? Why can't it just be a dialogue among the community that you're supposed to represent? Why do we have to play these games? Right? The second thing that I wanted to bring up is these arrests out of meetings for speaking out. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy for people to be arrested. I understand ejecting people from meetings to restore order. I understand that perspective. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. But to arrest people for speaking out, that's something that seems to be unconstitutional to me and is absolutely inconsiderate of the trauma that our families and our community is going through. So why are you engaging in this kind of process? We want you to not be afraid of the community. We want you to engage with the community, and we don't want to have to be in spaces where we're constantly fearful. I'm sitting here trying to capture the comments of Waukesha Wilson's aunt, and I'm being told I can't sit here to film because it's the first 2 rows. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous process. You know no one here has ever been violent towards anyone here or any officer. So why do we have these games that, again, try to put us in our place? I'm asking you to not move based on ego, but move based on the justice that you're supposed to uphold.
Thank you for your comments.
Brianisha Brim.
Brianisha Brim, the cousin of Waukesha Wilson. And I'm here today, and I would like to... That was very disrespectful.
Laughing at that, ma'am, not you.
I'm speaking of a deceased woman
I know you are.
that died in the possession of your care. And you're laughing in my face. That is very disrespectful, unhumane, and very unconcerned. Besides the fact that she was a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a cousin, she's a person, and that's enough. I just read the LAPD mission statement, and it said it was to protect and serve and to eliminate the fear of the community. But you guys are putting fear in us, and you guys did not protect. You lacked to protect. You failed to protect a human that was in your care. We're asking for answers. Why aren't you guys releasing the videotapes or the audio? And who is the officer, and what did the officer do? And what happened once Waukesha refused his orders, his or her orders? We all know that there's no officer that's going to allow an inmate, especially, to refuse the orders and just walk away. So what happened after that? Could we get some answers out of respect? Maybe that's too much because you're disrespecting me right here in my face, so I can only imagine there is no respect. Could we get some answers?
As I've previously stated, this incident is being investigated by both the department and independently by the Inspector
So while
General.
you guys are investigating, could we have the tapes as well so we can investigate as well? Or are you guys editing the tapes before you release them?
That they're part
That
of
is exactly what you guys are doing. That's why they have not been released.
Thank you for your comments.
And another thing, you guys, last week you laughed. Last week,
you guys are just
he's scratching
inhumane.
and looking in his computer again. He started off the laughing last week. Now you, Charlie Beck, you, all of you guys are laughing. This is not a game. It's not a joke. It's not a game. It's not a joke.
I pray for the day when your daughter or your son stand in this position. Maybe it won't be in a possession of the police officer.
You waving your hand, but let me tell you.
Time's up.
Hey.
Let me tell you something. If a riot come through, it won't be in the hood. It won't be in the hood.
Ma'am,
It will not be in the hood.
ma'am, thank you.
Take notice.
So I pray for the day when your sons or daughters, nieces, maybe your wife,
Thank you for coming down here.
life is taken.
Is she dead? Maybe she'll be killed. Then what you
Thank
do?
you- thank you for coming
What
down.
if she murdered? What if somebody killed her? What would you do? What would you do?
We understand why you're upset. There's no one on this.
Laughing.
There's no
And
one on
it's
this.
not a laughing matter.
There's no one on this panel who's meant to be disrespectful, and we.
But why do they keep, every time we get up here, my family, they laugh. Is it a time to laugh? Shoot jokes? Is it really?
I understand why you're upset, and I apologize for anything that was appeared to be
You keep
disrespectful.
doing the same thing every time
I
we come
understand.
up here.
I understand.
Well, then, check them.
I will discuss this with everybody. Believe
Please
me.
do.
Thank you.
Because I'm telling you, if a riot happens, it ain't on my watch. Yeah,
That
you set
concerns
up
you?
now.
That
You set
concerns
up
you?
now. That concerns you? If a riot take place, it will not be in the hood. I don't think they going to loot in the hood. I don't think they're going to do that.
Again, thank you.
So I had a question. I said, when are while you guys are investigating, could we do our own investigation? Could we see the tapes
I'm sorry,
sooner
but
than later?
Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. We have to go through our process.
Oh, your process is to edit,
Can
delete
I
it, right?
ask you how long that would be?
Every-
She's got killed March 27th.
I don't
on
have
my
an answer.
birthday.
I don't have an answer to that.
You still don't. Last week you didn't have an answer. Today you don't have an answer.
So what are you guys doing to get the answer? Like, what progress have you guys made towards an answer?
These investigations take a long time. They generally take.
If you keep putting it on the back, I mean, obviously it's not important because this guy is laughing, this guy is huffing and puffing, and it's not important. So, of course, it'll take a long time if you guys keep putting it on
I
the back.
appreciate you coming down here.
Yes.
I assure you that both the department and the commission are taking it very seriously.
It's
Laughing?
hard to tell.
Have they even apologized? And are you like the boss of them? Are you the head person?
I am president of the
And
police commission.
this is how much they respect they're even showing you, because they know that you are going to defend them and not going to do anything
I have-
about them laughing and disrespecting a person that is mourning for a person that died
For the
in
second
their
time. For the second time.
in you guys' custody. You guys are supposed to protect. Where was your protection?
So this right here
I
doesn't mean
I
anything.
understand where you are.
To protect and to serve does not mean anything because you're not
I'm
doing
sorry.
it.
I'm going to have to cut you off at this point. I've given you way more time than the 2 minutes in respect of your situation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
But you,
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker, Jane J.A. Person Lynn.
So we're back again talking about wireless weaponized technology. Unfortunately, Charlie Beck or anybody on your commission has not even reached out to us. We've told you that we have over 300 victims that are being attacked right now as we speak in the city of Los Angeles, and those are the ones that we know of. So I don't understand how you guys haven't even tried to reach out to us and find the victims so that you can start investigating what it is that's going on. We all know that technology is at the top of its game right now, and obviously you guys have everything you need to monitor, watch, and stalk us on the streets. So imagine what the people who have created this technology are really doing with it to poor innocent victims who don't have a voice. We're here for the people that with no voice, the people that you keep trying to put into mental institutions or arresting because they cannot get help. So we're just asking you to do your job and start investigating. You have hundreds of victims in the city of Los Angeles, the city that you sit on this panel and say you represent, that you're trying to keep safe. Your officers are under attack. They're coming to work from their daily lives, and you know, you've got frequencies on their head that are making them bad people. They're shooting people. They're not doing their jobs the way they should be doing their jobs. And you've got these people out here in the street that are going through a horrific time just trying to make it to the next day. So you guys really need to start doing some type of due diligence and look into investigating wireless technology being weaponized and being used on the citizens of the streets in which you are here to protect and serve.
Good morning. I am Attorney Jai Person Lynn. Try and be as brief as possible. Just looking at these quotes up here, integrity in all we say and do, that's very important to me, as that's part of the oath that I took as an attorney. So just speaking to the various groups, to Mr. Sibley, we were told by detectives that your office has everything that the LAPD has. With the LAPD's first public statement that did not mention hanging, that did not mention suicide, but did mention that she was found lying on the floor. Now, when you have somebody found lying on the floor who died from strangulation, it's not a lot of ways. You have to be like a super suicide expert to fill that out in a jail with very little resources. So we ask that you watch those videos and report immediately whether someone entered that cell between 7:45 a.m. and 8:25 a.m. when she was found dead. And I guess there may be a difference between unconscious and not breathing, but that's how she was found, unconscious, not breathing, and dead. To Chief Beck, Deputy Chief McCarthy told me she was not able to answer any of my questions. I do represent the son, Jamil Langine. So I would like to have a meeting, since you're the next step on the organizational chart. To the commissioners, I would like for all of you to be able to say what you've done to bring this information to light by the next meeting. And to President Johnson, attorney to attorney, these facts cannot make sense to you. They just can't, that somebody's found lying on the floor who died from strangulation. And lastly, there is a killer on the loose. And it's obstruction of justice to not bring that person to justice immediately. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there are no other comment cards on this item. We're now on item number 6, closed session. What is your name, sir?
Marcus Warrior.
Okay. Yeah, I do have a card for you.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Warrior.
So check this, man. Once you guys know about this wireless radio frequency war out here, and you don't do nothing, man, you just as good as the bad guys. Because, Charlie, I actually rooted for you, man. When you was coming in, I could have sworn that the streets was going to be better, crime was going to be going down, and it seems as it picked up. I mean, how do you look in the mirror every day, sending your employees to work, supposedly protecting a person, promising them protection, while you got a software provoking them to murder the person that you promised protection? And basically, you guys are standing like this while little kids are being raped, women are being followed, men are being tortured, people are being just humiliated with radio frequency weaponry because you can't see it. You get this type of weaponry to a coward, this is exactly what he's going to do. He's going to rape women. He's going to follow people, do everything people are doing 25 to life for it is happening wirelessly. And it doesn't make any sense, man. It's like, come on, man. we got to live out the rest of our lives. We all got to die. It seems like people keep forgetting that we got to die. Everybody got to go. So why not make the best out of while we're here? Make this place a better place. Do the best we can do for the kids, man. Set an example for them. But this doesn't make any sense. It's like you arresting and locking up the people who are good people and letting the mentally ill run the streets and run the world. You know, we're going to have a damn massacre out here, man, if we don't get it right for nothing. You know, so just think about it. Everybody's being aligned. Think the next time you scratch or you get a pain here, these fools is lining up this weapon with everybody out here. Nobody's exempt. We're trying to tell these people that the weapon sells itself, man. You can't see it. Little kids are playing basketball, drop dead on the court because he's been blasted with a high-powered frequency, man. Come on, man. You know, just we're going to keep coming, man.
Thank you, sir. Is that the last speaker?
That's the last speaker on this item.
Okay.
We're now on item number 6. We have 2 comment cards on 6A2. We have Ted Hayes and Prentice Jenkins.
Anything on 1?
No, sir.
Okay, so we're on 2.
Prentice Jenkins, published the City Life newsletter, activist since 1991.
We need, hold on for
we're
a
on a,
Okay.
we're on 682.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can start over if you want.
Officer involved shootings. We know that Mr. Ezell Ford was involved in an officer-involved shooting. Brendan Glenn was involved in an officer-involved shooting. Charlie Africa. Angie Guzman was involved in an officer-involved shooting. All these people were involved in officer-involved shootings, and they're dead today. We don't know whether Waukesha Wilson was involved in an officer-involved shooting because we haven't gotten the coroner. The family hasn't gotten the coroner's report done yet. Of course, that is Waukesha Wilson. That's what she looks like. Everyone says her name, but I'd rather people see what she looks like. See, a picture's worth 1,000 names. This is what she looks like. That Miss Hines' beautiful daughter is now in the morgue, and no one knows why. Was it an officer-involved shooting? Was it a strangling? Was it a asthma attack? What was it? No one can seem to tell this young lady's mother. And trust me, if anything happened to any of you, and your mothers are still alive, they want to know what happened to my son. Chief Beck's mother would want to know what happened to my son. Steve Sobroff's mother would want to know what happened to my son, what happened to my children. This is the same, this woman has the same request. What happened to my daughter? That's what she wants to know. It doesn't matter what the coroner report says. Whatever the coroner report says, all she wants is the truth. What happened to her daughter in custody? Was it an officer-involved shooting? Did they take a bullet out of her? She still doesn't know. And she wants to know, and she has the right to know. And we need answers from the head of the police department, the police commission.
And there are no other comment cards. The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item number 6A1 and 2 in accordance with Government Code 54957.
Yeah.
The Board of Police Commissioners has concluded its work in closed session. We are back in open session. In closed session, item number 6A1 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. In closed session, item number 6A2 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. Mr. President, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Hi, I'm Rasha Goel.
And I'm Gil Reyes. Welcome to Latitude, the here and now of business and trade news from the Port of Los Angeles.
In this edition, you will learn about the Port of LA's innovative new